required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season.
I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Being young with unlimited energy to burn. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think you could be lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
All guys lose their edge when they turn 40. The body has less testosterone. That's why I take Nugenix Total T.
I've heard about Nugenix. That really works?
Since I started taking Nugenix, I'm lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. I feel more energized at work. It's even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try?
Yep, send a text. It's that easy.
Text HEFTY to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. It's the #1 selling testosterone boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now and they'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, their newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text HEFTY to 42424. That's HEFTY to 42424. Statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
This is Paul Feinbaum. That'll do it for me today. Coming up next, The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Listen to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond.
Man, I appreciate what you guys do. I know credit got Drew, Talkin' Ball 7 until 9 on my show when I feature Drew, and certainly have a great relationship with Wes and Steve and Tom and all you guys. Man, it's always fun to hang out with you with media days, different bowl events, but I always appreciate the partnership. I almost feel like we're sister stations with 97.7 The Zone, the only sports station in the Rockets. And thank you so much.
Every weekday morning, wake up with Scott and Drew. It's Talkin' Ball on 97.7 The Zone.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Are you feeling tired? Are you feeling sluggish? Gentlemen, Game Day Men's Health. Game Day Men's Health is here to help you. Braden is here. Braden, you've got the answers.
Thanks, Scott. Whether it's low T, erectile dysfunction, weight loss, or a number of other things, we have the solution for them.
It's Game Day Men's Health. Give them a call today at
256-850-1570.
You can find them online.
GameDayMen'sHealth.com.
Hey, what man wouldn't like to have tests done in a man cave?
That's right. Come in for your free test and consultation, walk into a world-class staff, a comfortable, relaxed environment, and we got your results in about 20 minutes with appointments less than an hour.
And the big game is always on the TV. It's Game Day Men's Health. Give them a call.
256-850-1570.
You can find him online at GameDayMen'sHealth.com/Huntsville/The Zone.
Next time you're online looking for landscaping inspiration, open Instagram and check out Southern Gent Landscaping. They can help make your yard your dream outdoor oasis. Southern Gent Landscaping can handle it all, from landscape maintenance and installation to irrigation and hardscapes, even AstroTurf. Turn your yard into a landscape you'll be proud to show off. Call Southern Gent Landscaping at 256-509-6088. 509-6088. Southern Gent Landscaping. Professional landscaping performed with satisfaction guaranteed.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. This hour is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford, Alabama's F-150 Superstore. Welcome to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, 256-576-4977.
That's how I roll. And I'm not going to drink and drive anymore.
That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Wes and Steve.
And away we go here on a Tuesday. We are going to close out the program with a conversation I had earlier today with Aaron Murray. You can see him daily on Snaps with T-Bob Hebert. And yes, I did start off my conversation by saying my apologies, having to put up with T-Bob on a daily basis. Of course, yeah, if you're a longtime listener to this program, you know exactly what we're talking about. And also coming up in hour number 2, John McClain is going to join us to talk in depth about week 1 of the National Football League. But right out of the gate, West Neighbors, we've got one of our favorites, and that is Coach David Cutcliffe, who's kind enough to join us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. How are you, Coach?
I am great. You know what? I'm glad we're in SEC country, guys. You know, there are a lot of things happening out there, but as we all like to say, it just means more around here.
Yep. Well, the first 2 weeks, what's your big takeaway of what you've seen across the board, Coach?
Well, it really hasn't surprised me. I've seen a few ups and downs and some really good ups, and I've been able to watch, everybody in our league practice and a few others starting in the spring and even all through August. And people don't realize how restrictive things have become and how you go about practice. And I think that's probably a trend that we're going to see continue when you start getting into more control of a roster. It's just unique to the time. So I haven't been surprised that, okay, week one, somebody doesn't look so good. Week two, they look better, or vice versa even. Yeah. I just think consistencies are the things most coaches are looking for. And it's the most difficult thing. It really is the hardest thing to grasp under normal circumstances. So, and I've wanted to see programs that, are fighting. Like I went to Vandy to see them play Virginia Tech, and I had watched them practice the spring, watched them in August, and was really, left there excited about the hunger and the work that was getting done on the practice field. And lo and behold, look what they did with Virginia Tech. And there was no doubt that to me, they played at a higher level. And then this past week, I was really impressed with Kentucky, but I had gone to South Carolina and spent a lot of time with Coach Beamer and his staff. And man, did they play good. So
that was the game that shocked me the most, I think.
Yeah. Well, it did me, to be real honest with you, based upon seeing them just on the hoof and watching a bit of practice. But it shows you, that's why we play the game. And, big plays on defense in that game came more on the South Carolina side. I thought it would be the opposite.
Yeah.
I really did. But the young quarterback for South Carolina made some big plays with his athleticism. And I don't know, it's just an interesting – all along I've known this season is going to be interesting to watch. I'm trying to figure out how I can go to 4 or 5 games at one time. Anybody got any ideas?
What I figured out, Coach, if when you watch more than 2 games on the TV, you're just like watching none of them.
Well, that's for sure. But I'm talking about being in person. I like to be. I want Scotty to beam me around. Is what I'm really looking for. Because I can be out there for pregame. I always get there. Before the teams arrive. I even like to see the players come out of the tunnel and walk around, and then you do the pregame, which has become popular now. They all go out and do their thing, and I just find that interesting to see some of the differences in the teams there. It's just an interesting time for college football. And to be honest with you, I think some of the things we're seeing in the NFL is a result of a lot of the same things. It's team is an interesting concept right now, and I don't want to get all into that, but that's the biggest challenge anybody has, is to create an environment where team is first. And, I just think we're going to see, again, more erratic play than we may have ever seen.
And you think it's because of the limitations for what you can do in camp? that's
Well,
causing
I think
this?
it's that. I think it's transfers. I think, I'm just telling you, as a long-time head coach, bringing a team's personality around, building a chemistry of a team is extremely important unless you're just a whole heck of a lot better than everybody else. So the little things that win games, and the little things that lose games. Coach Bryant, well, that's one of his, top things to say were more games are lost than won, particularly in conference play, where you get into ability is similar. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. So his big saying to me is the same things win that have always won. Only the excuses
That's right.
change.
And it doesn't. And, it's collective habits is what, when I go to practice, that's what I look for. I see players everywhere that got some really good practice habits. But when I look at a team, I want to see collective habits. I want to see things like how quick are people getting up off the ground across the board. I want to see how well people are finishing every drill. Every catch a receiver makes, does he accelerate? He doesn't have to go 30 yards. I'm talking about, does he make it like a game? Everywhere I go, I look for collective habits. And that's what I prided myself in my whole career, whether I was an offensive coordinator or a head coach. We were going to have and identify the same collective habits. And you weren't going to play if you didn't participate in that. And that's how you impose your will on an opponent. That's how collective habits can absolutely affect an opponent, not one or two people. And so I just think it's a unique time trying to piece all this together. Good gracious. I just stare at rosters. Sometimes and a lot of them now aren't putting the previous school on the roster anymore, which I think is probably smart.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I've always liked looking at it and said, my goodness, I'm sitting there watching Southern Cal and LSU and University of Southern California is playing with the guy that was at Mississippi State last year.
He ended up helping win the game.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm like, what? Wait a minute. And I'm not being critical, guys. I'm really not. I don't know, what's going to be best or not best. I'm just talking coaching. How do you bring all of this together? And the only thing I can continue to come up with is that you got to coach. You can't coach in fear. You got to coach them like you always have, which doesn't mean mean or bad or ugly. It means build a relationship and get the very best out of every one of them. Collective habits. And so as y'all watch football games, look for some of that. One of my favorite ones is treat the ground like a hot stove. Everybody's ever played for us knows when I say hot stove, you better get your butt up off the ground. Nobody's ever won a game
with people laying on the ground. That's no question.
And nobody's ever won a game just because you got back up. But if you beat the opponent back up and you do that all the time in practice, guess what that does? That conditions you mentally and physically. You're tougher. And don't get me started. You're going to get me coaching all over again right now. So.
So when you when I was watching Alabama coach number 2, who is Hollywood Ryan Williams,
17 years old.
17 years old.
Yeah, he's talented. Woo.
So but he hasn't been tackled yet either, except before the ball gets there.
No,
it's the dangest thing I've ever seen.
Broke. Yeah, I tell you, he is, when you see him at practice in person, I couldn't take my eyes off of him, even in drills. And I had a couple of comments to him out there. I can't help myself, positive things, just reinforcing his good habits on the field. And it's really, his quickness is what I call sudden. There's a difference in quick and sudden. And when you see somebody that is sudden. You know it. You know it on a basketball court. You know it on a football field. You know it on a base runner in baseball, a stealer. When they're sudden, it's almost startling how they move, and that's what he reminded me of as I was watching them practice.
Well, of all the games that you've watched so far, Coach, is there one team that stands out with that effort that you've been talking to us about, Coach?
I've seen some good practices that I was impressed with. I would probably get in trouble. I've got two teams in my mind. I hate to taunt y'all a little bit, but I don't know that I need to say either one.
Is Texas one of them, Coach?
I'm gonna say yes. Okay.
Okay.
So,
all right.
And it, I enjoyed the time on the grass. And I'm talking about practice. And I just told one of our former players that is playing in the NFL. I reminded him that the NFL can get somewhat complacent at practice, and I reminded him. I said, I have planted many seeds of victory on game fields, and not a damn one of them ever grew. Seeds of victory grow on the practice field. Yeah. So, when I'm on that grass with somebody getting better, I do like that.
Boy, with what Texas did at Michigan, that's what made me go there, Coach. That didn't happen by accident.
Well, it's not. I mean, success is not an accident. It is collective habits. It is, a concerted group of people that can do special things. It's rare, and particularly in football. I've seen one or two basketball players. We all have dominate a basketball game. You see a great quarterback player. You may see a receiver or a running back or a linebacker, but they can't dominate a game. Impossible.
Yeah.
So that's why I keep talking about getting on that grass. And I sometimes go around and go to some of the pro camps because I've got so many former coaches that are coaching in the league now that have worked with us, and then a great number of players. And I get irritated a little bit sometimes. I know they're professionals, but have you noticed how erratic that league can be? And I don't care who you are. There's nothing wrong with practicing well. I don't care how good you are. I don't care. And my guys believe that. All of them that were very successful in the NFL. And we would do a lot of work in the off season, bring their receivers back and there's only one way to be great. And that's execution. And the only way to have great execution is to do it over and over and over again. So that's if I could coach till I was 110, I'd do it. But I'm turning 70 this month.
That's right.
I love my wife. I'm getting to be around her more. I got 9 grandkids. I'm trying not to be selfish. So yeah, y'all can hear it in my voice. So I get wound up,
There's no doubt about that, Coach. But it's big plans for the big 7-0 for you there, Coach?
No, it's football season. I've never even celebrated a birthday. September birthdays are made to win football games, and I just don't even think about it. But I'm happy to be here. I've had my share of health issues in the past, and I'm very blessed to be healthy and energetic and happy, and so I wish that for all people. As we get older, it doesn't get easier. No, nothing does, but nothing keeps you from getting better other than yourself. So I'm still trying to get better.
So, Coach, I got a question, kind of a little bit off the subject, but I'm interested to see what your opinion. So the two most successful coaches, I'd say all time, both were at Alabama.
Yep.
One was Coach Bryant. One, of course, was the who I think is the GOAT, is Nick Saban.
Yep.
Both of them morphed while they in other words, they start out with one offense, ended up with another offense, did whatever they had to do to win according to how the rules were. A lot of rules were made against both of them. One mostly in recruiting, and one in some of the stuff he ran from tackle eligible to the different things that Coach Bryant did. Although there is a recruiting rule called the Bear Bryant rule. So my question is, though, they were taskmasters, both of them. Have you ever seen a great coach that wasn't a taskmaster?
No, I think you have to be a very well organized coach person. And go back to what I just said, execution. Execution is a key word. It's one of my five favorite football words are alignment, alignment, assignment, effort, execution, and finish. That's all I ever look for. And execution has all varying levels. When you go watch Nick Saban coach, or you were around Coach Bryant coaching, execution had to be great. Let's go back to what Aristotle said. He was a taskmaster, obviously, when he said we become what we repeatedly do. Excellence is not an act. So they found excellence within themselves, and they demanded it from those around them. It didn't make a lot of people comfortable sometimes, and it didn't matter. And they're both my goats. They're to some degree different. But what Nick did in this era is probably second to none because it's so uniquely different now. Yeah. How he did it, I mean, yes, I know, but how did he keep that razor's edge and it never changed, and he was able to relate? And the last thing I'll tell you about both of them, their willingness to adjust and change. I was talking to Darryl Royal one time. I had developed a good friendship with him. I wanted to learn from Coach Royal. He was a special coach, but he knew I was a Coach Bryant guy. And he looked at me and said, "Oh, David," he said, "Paul wasn't any better than the rest of us. He was just willing to change." And I'm like, "Did you hear yourself, Coach?" There you go, you know. And he did that. I saw him adjust until his body ran out of gas, you know. And I'm proud that Coach Saban has, you know, found some peace and happiness in what he's doing, or it seems that he has. And I wish him great health for a long, long time. But yeah, they're very similar in so many ways. And you know, those statues. Every now and then when I'm down there and nobody even knows I'm there, I just go over and stare, walk around the stadium, and just kind of take all that in again and realize all the things that have happened there. Pretty special place from a football perspective. It's my alma mater. It's and I don't want to make other places mad. Auburn folks, don't get mad at me. I love Auburn too, and I love that stadium. I love SEC football, and I pull for all of them now. But you asked specifically about Coach Saban, Coach Bryant, and that's my answer.
Coach, final question for me. The last time we had you on, we were talking about Johnny Majors. Do you have a quintessential Johnny Majors story to kind of close out this interview with us?
I can give you one.
Yes, sir.
So Coach Majors hired me because he was recruiting our kids, and he saw our practice. And he said, "Where did you learn to run a practice like that?" I was a head coach at Banks High School in Birmingham. And I said, "Well, that's all I've ever known, you know, here in Alabama. That's how we do it." So he told me that day, "So I'm going to hire you after the season." I'm like, "Yeah, right." Which he did. And then he hired me. I never asked what he was going to pay me. And in that era, there were 4 positions that you couldn't go on the road recruiting. It was called part-time coach, which you had. I coached a position. I coached, but I just couldn't go on the road recruiting. It's a little bit of like what you're getting back to now. And it was part-time pay, but he didn't tell me that. And my first year at Tennessee, I made a little under $4,000 that year. And I didn't get into it to make any money, didn't care. But he told me it wasn't healthy for a young single assistant to make too much money. So about 2 years later, we're on the road. I'm now recruiting. They changed the rules. They went to a 10th coach, and he hired me as that 10th coach. And we're riding down the road. I'm driving. I said, "Hey, Coach, I hadn't thanked you properly." He said, "For what?" And I said, "I really want to thank you. I am actually the healthiest assistant football coach in all of America." So what do you mean? He said, "You told me that if I didn't make much money, if I made too much money, it wouldn't be healthy." And I said, "I'm really healthy, but I'm ready to get married, and I need a raise." So, yeah, it was. That's Coach Majors, and he said, "We'll talk about it later." Okay, yeah. And I think I got one up to about $16,000 a year at that point, and that's when I finally decided I could ask Karen to marry me. So yeah, I had intentions of getting married, and it was interesting how he viewed things. But that was a different era. You guys know that.
Coach,
thank goodness you got a dealer card, and I had a card. I had to sell what I had at banks to survive.
Yeah, so he, my father says, "There's no way, Wes, you're getting coaching. You can't make any money."
It's such a unique, and people today think that particularly my era, guys got in it thinking they were going to make some money, and had nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
and I hope and I pray for our coaches today, and I know there's money all over the place, and I get that, and hey, they earn their money, but let's pray that everybody continues to play this great game for all the right reasons, and everybody that coaches this great game does it for all the right reasons. But guys, I've got to run.
Yes, sir.
Coach, we appreciate you
very much. Y'all get me fired up. My palms are sweating now. We'll go coach my wife, and that won't go well.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
Happy early birthday to you, Coach.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
That is Coach David Cutcliffe.
So Coach Bryant used to say, if you get into coaching, you don't do it for the money.
Yeah.
You better do it for the love of the game. And the only reason you get in it is you can't live without it.
So you said two teams.
Yeah, I think it had to be Georgia.
You think Georgia?
Yeah, you'd have to say. Yeah. But I was looking for him is to say something positive about DeBoer, because DeBoer is obviously not a taskmaster.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like to me, though.
Doesn't seem that way.
Yeah.
Could be, but.
Right. I know he didn't throw anybody under the bus.
No, he did not. That is David Cutcliffe, the special assistant to the commissioner for football, the Southeastern Conference, and a good friend of the program. And always great to talk with him about what he has seen through technically 3 weeks, going through week 0, week 1, and week 2 of the college football campaign. That is how we start today, and this is how we'll head off to a break, and your phone calls are certainly welcome. John McClain set to join us at the top of the hour. 256-576-4977 is the telephone number.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. The Drive.
Both those guys have done a good job in what we've asked them to do, and both of them have developed nicely.
Your Rocket City Trash Pitters are on the road to finish the season strong against the Chattanooga Lookouts. Tonight at 6 p.m. on Talk Radio WZZN, 97.7 HD2, and the Talk Radio WZZN app.
Hi, folks. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, inviting you to come test drive any one of our over 100 F-150s. From rock-solid, dependable work trucks to our state-of-the-art Platinum Series, we've got an F-150 for you. Test drive one today, and you'll understand why the F-150 is the best-selling truck in America, going on 48 years in a row. Just as successful offenses and defenses are built on teamwork, Woody Anderson Ford is powered by our people. Our sales and service teams are well-trained to save you time and money. And because we want your business again and again, no one will work harder to earn it. Our mobile service teams come to your home or business for oil changes, brake work, tire rotations, and more. And the great thing is you don't pay extra for it. We come to you with mobile service at no extra charge. Proud to be local, family-owned, and at your service for over 62 years. Woody Anderson Ford, Alabama's F-150 Superstore.
If hunting and outdoor recreation are your passions, it all starts with the right property. That's where I come in. I am Bo Butler with Southland Realty and Auction, a hunting and recreational land specialist and a Jackson County native who sees land through a hunter's eyes. Just as you trust your guide on a big game hunt, you can trust me to find the perfect property for you. Thinking of selling? Let me help you make your land attract buyers. Remember, Bo knows land. Call me at 256-609-0512.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
The state's largest orthopedic group is growing to meet the needs of the patients in our community. The Orthopedic Center has long been the most trusted name in orthopedics in North Alabama. So as our area continues on the fast track, so does the need for premier orthopedic care anywhere and anytime you need it. TOC is proud to announce the opening of our new locations in Albertville and Hampton Cove, along with the grand opening of our newest office in Decatur. These clinics will offer the same high-quality orthopedic care you have come to associate with TOC, with the convenience of being closer to home. As a patient, your time is your most precious asset, and we recognize that at TOC. That's why we are also proud to announce the opening of our urgent ortho clinics to handle those bumps and bruises that need prompt attention. These clinics are available to care for acute orthopedic injuries with no appointment necessary. With 38 physicians, 20 centers of excellence, and now more than a dozen locations to serve you, TOC will continue to be the name you turn to for the best orthopedic care at the right time. Visit our website at visittoc.com for more information. TOC, helping you live a better life.
Chapman Commercial Realty, your source for Alabama commercial real estate. Chapman Commercial Realty has the experience and expertise you're looking for when making commercial real estate decisions. If it's office space, retail space, investment property, or project development, Chapman Commercial Realty is your answer. Call Bill Chapman today at 256-656-8413. That's 256-656-8413. Or find him online at chapmancommercialrealty.com.
This segment of The Drive is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford, located online at woodyandersonford.com with 2 locations, Hughes Road in Madison and Jordan Lane in Huntsville.
It is a Tuesday edition of The Drive. Phone line's open to you if you'd like to participate at 256-576-4977, the telephone number. Always really appreciate Coach David Cutcliffe. He says quite a bit if you really listen closely. In that regard, it's a little bit like Coach Dye back in the day, of more of what he is trying to say in a roundabout way.
It's what Coach Dye was what he wasn't saying.
Yes. For Coach Dye in particular,
we can read it like a book.
What he was not saying.
Yes.
So there is plenty of stories surrounding the Auburn program right now. And I get it. I understand it. But I would just like to know, Peyton Thorne appeared on the Next Round today and said that he's been receiving Venmo messages asking for some money. I mean, come on, folks.
It's bad. It's bad. It's bad. Yeah. So, here's basically Hugh Freeze made a decision.
Yes, he did.
Okay. He had an opportunity to go out and get a quarterback, and he decided not to because he thought that the quarterback was fine. So they went out and get a bunch of players around him. Okay. You go look at all the interceptions thrown. Now, he says he has 15 plays where the quarterback didn't play up to, and I get it. I'm not doubting him. All right. But I'm telling you, the first interception went right through 8's hands. Threw it right to him. Went through his hands, intercepted. Second one, he was hit. Left tackle got beat on the first move. He got hit. It was deflected. Unfortunately, fell right to a guy. I mean, a lot of these balls came to the guy. The only interception I saw that I thought was his fault was the third one that he threw a jump ball, and it was a badly thrown ball. Even if the guy wasn't hurt, I don't think he could have caught it.
Mm-hmm.
And Coach Freeze said himself on the last one he knew it wasn't his fault because the receiver ran the wrong route.
Yeah.
So, these other plays he's talking about, maybe Mr. Reed, this or that. But, when the running back fumble, that's not the quarterback's fault. When the offensive lineman misses a bunch of blocks, and they did, I just don't see how you can just try to say, hey, it's the quarterback's fault.
A lot of people are bringing up what Coach Freeze said during the spring and what he said verbatim, not a little snippet, what he said verbatim. I believe in our quarterback room. I believe in Kent Austin. I believe that we have the right pieces around Peyton that we can have success. I think you saw some glimpses of that. And I don't think we had a total package around him, really. The options that you presented right now is develop Peyton, develop Holden, develop Hank, develop Walker, or go spend $1 million on a guy. I couldn't bring myself to do that because I wanted to put the pieces together. Now, I'm not saying I won't do that in time, but just currently, I think this guy is proven. End quote. So he did. If you read the whole quote,
I'm
not just the $1 million thing.
Nothing's ever as bad as it seems, and nothing's ever as good. I think Auburn, given the right, I think when you look at this team, except for the Alabama and A&M game and the Arkansas game last year, they play to their competition. When they play better off competition, they play better. But it's hard to beat these better teams because they all have great players, and it's hard. You got to play 4 quarters, and you got to play 4 quarters to beat Alabama or Georgia. You have to play 4 quarters to beat them, and it's just hard to do when they're. It's obvious that Alabama and Auburn have better talent at the moment, but you can beat California. You can beat these other teams.
You would think,
and then win one of those games, and you're in business. You know.
Yeah.
And, I thought he had turned the corner. I could tell he looked like he was going to throw up. Like he was kind of believing their press clippings that they were getting, how good they were and how good recruiting is. And, and then all of a sudden they play like they did last year in one of those bad games. And I don't think it's the end of the world. But I was shocked by him throwing Peyton Thorne under the bus. Shocked.
Here is Coach from yesterday on the lack of explosive plays.
Yeah, well, we didn't have enough possessions in that first half to do it, and we had another explosive play that we didn't get protected. And I wish you could see the film and just see how open they are, and those are the ones we've got to convert on and get protected. So it was a mixture. And heck, I guess we just had 3 possessions the first half, other than the 2-minute drill. And that's an uncomfortable feeling to have for sure. They just controlled the whole clock. And the second half was the opposite, honestly. And we probably won the time of possession in the second half because of the way our defense played. Just could never get any consistency going, though, because of the turnovers. or sacks.
You talk about,
but they got to get him protected. Listen, he made a professional throw in the first quarter on that first drive as he was getting smoked, and maybe he wasn't the same after. You know, you get hit, you can get dinged up in the head, and then you got to question your confidence. There's no question there were people running wide open everywhere, but you got to protect your quarterback to get it to him. I mean, it's no question. And they don't. Like I said, they need to trade a receiver for some offensive linemen.
I've not played the full clip, but let me do that right now. And I've only played a snippet of this because when you listen to press conferences as much as I do, you tend to know when a coach is saying something substantive rather than just trying to filibuster the answer. And Coach Freeze is very good at filibustering. And that's why he just kind of goes off on a little bit of a tangent because he doesn't focus on Peyton. He also goes to the coaching staff as well of maybe we need to coach him better along those lines. This is 1 minute and 15 seconds of Coach. What did you see on the tape from over the weekend? Because that was the large part of his post-game press conference, which was 5 minutes, by the way, of I need to see the tape. I need to see the tape. I need to see the tape. And thankfully, the Auburn media did ask him, what did you see on the tape?
Us not executing the offense from the quarterback position, truthfully. We just didn't, I've got a reel of about 15 plays that it's just things we've got to get right and are typically done right in practice. And our coaching staff feels like maybe we attempted to carry too much because of all the different looks that they give you, which they do, and they did a good job with that. And instead of us just, man, this is who we are, and let's do what we know we can do, where there's a clear mind, clear head, and I assure you the package will not be big moving forward for this week, and so that we can get an accurate picture of, is this going to be a reoccurring theme where we have to make decisions? So we probably carried a bit too much, but we just missed some very simple things that keep us ahead of the chains and not in those third and longs, which we just can't live in.
Am I hearing the wrong thing of quarterback and we threw too much at him and that's on us, the coaches? We need to simplify this thing, give them
he never said
quarterback
it was on them
for dummies.
Yeah. No.
All I heard was a bunch of nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, it's the quarterback's fault.
Yeah, exactly.
I couldn't make any sense out of the rest of that reply.
Well, it sounds like
it sounds like somebody who was sleeping in a meeting and woke up and is trying to answer the question.
I hear more of that than you think.
Besides the fact we had staff meeting today, yeah.
How was your nap?
I wasn't. I wasn't snoring today.
All right, so you tell me what you hear. This is Brian Kelly from yesterday, and just tell me what you think of this.
We're going to lay a lot, as much as we can. So I would say as much as we can, more so than a lot. And
what do you think he's saying there?
Say it again.
That sounds an awful lot like the guy who sat across from the table with me at the staff meeting today.
We're going to lay a lot, as much as we can. So I would say as much as we can, more so than a lot. And
I've heard this speech. It sounds familiar.
So, by the way, this is a question about Juju Johnson, a 4-star cornerback who has been playing very well for LSU, but that they're trying to give him more to do and give him more to do. But if I'm trying to make sense of this one quote, and I asked other people, what's he trying to say?
We're going to lay a lot, as much as we can. So I would say as much as we can, more so than a lot.
I mean,
I think what he just said is as much as they can, they're going to give him because but Juju can't handle a lot. Is what what I'm thinking. That's what he's saying.
It sounds like my toast at the staff Christmas party when I got 3 drinks in.
I'm telling you, I hear some weird stuff out of coaches, and so it's not just Hugh Freeze. But anyway, 256-576-4977, the telephone number if you'd like to participate. What are some other? I had a bunch of clips from yesterday. Sam Pittman had this to say on UAB as they welcome in the Blazers this weekend, coming off their double overtime loss.
UAB, excited to get home, first of all. Excited to play in our stadium here. Looking forward to seeing all our fans. UAB defensively is a quarters coverage team, a lot of single blitzes, 4-down line, have good linebackers. Michael Moore would be the one him and Roshaw, I think, got a really good corner in Dempsey. They had a couple transfer D tackles, got really good size on them defensively, and not complicated defensively. A lot of, like I said, a lot of single blitzes, whether it be a corner or whether it be from the safety. They play extremely hard, well coached. Offensively, Mortensen, a guy who I think he played here, if I'm correct, as their offensive coordinator, does a really good job. They do a lot. Go from empty to 13 to kind of a reverse bone look in the backfield. Want to run the football, I believe. Got some transfers on the offensive line, have some returning starters. Their center and left guard. Quarterback's a good player, transfer guy from Baylor. They like to throw it. He's a pocket guy. And then they've got a really good wideout in Amari Thomas, number 1, and then number 8 is their slide, and he also a really good punt returner. He returned one for a touchdown this year. The first game, their punter actually is Patrick Foley, who was here as a Hog for 2 years, and so we know he's outstanding there. But Coach Dilfer does a wonderful job there, and we're excited to play him.
That is Sam Pittman on their matchup with the Blazers this weekend up there in Fayetteville. Let's move over to Oxford, and Lane Kiffin complaining about his sloppy defense. Yeah.
Well, I think they did play sloppy. I think they played like the game was over when it started. I agree with it. I watched it.
I just thought it was sloppy and it was on us, like it was just miscommunication or miscoverages or who has who. And we screwed up a rush one time where we let the guy scramble by not having, the edge. So I really thought after watching it probably wasn't as bad as I felt during the game. And it's easy to fix. Should be easy to fix. I told him it's not like there was physical issues where, we couldn't get something done physically. It was just mental breaks and lapses, especially as the score got lopsided.
Ole Miss is at Wake Forest this weekend. That game can be found on the CW if you have the CW. Tom Brenneman will have the play-by-play call there coming up this weekend. Again, CW there for that one. Kirby Smart is traveling to Lexington. Kirby had this to say on prepping for a quarterback that was a dog, and that is Brock Vandergriff.
Very little. I have a lot of respect for Brock, his dad, his family. What Brock did for this university was awesome. He was a wonderful teammate and just a great kid. Always put the team first and would do anything to help the team and really helped our culture while he was here. So I have a lot of appreciation for what he did, and his fact he graduated from here. It was really cool when he told me he was going to do that, and then he was going to go play, and he did that.
Another conference matchup is a game day matchup, and it's the first time in 16 years that LSU is going to South Carolina. 16 years. But it is a big enough matchup where ESPN is going to load up the truck and head to Columbia, South Carolina. By the way, I did hear Coach Beamer say today, all aboard the hype train. The hype train is chugging along after their big win over Kentucky. But Brian Kelly had this to say on South Carolina's quarterback in Sellers.
Oh, well, Sellers is a pure pass rusher. I mean, Sellers, the quarterback, he is a physical presence, and a lot like I think I got the name right. Richardson, the quarterback that played at Florida, isn't it Richardson? Big, physical, strong. He's got a cannon for arm. The kid can throw at 65, 70 yards. He just reminds me of that kind of physical presence. But he's a new starter, but you're going to have to do some really good things to defend the quarterback and the quarterback run game because they've got the transfer from Auburn as well. So, that's going to be important for us. So that's going to give us, a great understanding after playing nickels of the quarterback run game. The defensive end, Stewart, is a pure pass rusher. And, it doesn't mean he can't defend the run. I'm not saying that, but he's a guy that they want in there to get after the quarterback. And we're going to have to do a really good job about it. We're going to have to be disciplined in our drops. We're going to have to get the ball out on time because those edge guys can certainly, this is an SEC defensive front, and they can get to the quarterback, and in particular, he can.
Dylan Stewart is a freshman, plays the edge position for the Gamecocks and the backup quarterback, in case you have forgotten. He played last week in a limited role when Sellers was out. Robbie Ashford, the Auburn transfer there to South Carolina. So it's Robbie Ashford. Did throw a pass and it didn't complete a pass in what turned out to be a lopsided win there for the Gamecocks in Lexington. Tell you what, let's go ahead and take our final time out. Bryce, hang with us. We'll get right to you on the other side. And then John McClain is set to join us at the top of the hour, get his thoughts on week 1 of the NFL.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
It's the dawning of a new age in Tuscaloosa.
I understand what Alabama football is all about. Roll time.
Join the Crimson Tide as the Kalen DuBois era begins.
Touchdown, Alabama!
Join us Saturday as the Crimson Tide head north to the Badger State to take on Wisconsin. Our coverage begins at 8 a.m. on your home for Alabama football.
Listen to Alabama football all season long on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Buying that perfect home is one of the most important financial decisions you'll ever make. So it's crucial that you have the right partner to help you through the process. Hi, I'm Stuart Evans, mortgage loan officer for Bryant Bank, and I'm here to tell you that we are that partner. We offer a variety of mortgage products to fit your unique home buying situation in a changing rate environment. That kind of hassle-free approach might not be what you'd expect from a bank, but it's exactly what you can expect from us. Give me a call today or visit me at our downtown Huntsville office and let me show you what banking beyond expectation is all about.
Bryant Bank Equal Housing Lender, NMLS ID 2428943, member FDIC.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
The company is Eagle Masonry and Insulation, but did you know they're also Eagle Landscaping and Dirt Work? Eagle can take care of all your landscaping needs, including irrigation, sod work, and planting, both plants and trees. On the dirt work side, Eagle can grade and build your pads, haul dirt in or out, and even do erosion control. Philip Love and his team can do it all for you. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly sunny sky this afternoon really is going to be a beautiful day. Temperatures climbing into the upper 80s and lower 90s, dropping into the mid 60s as we head into the overnight. More cloud cover for your Wednesday, but it does look like we are going to be dry. The cloud cover going to keep us a little cooler. Highs climbing into the mid and upper 80s. We're dropping into the upper 60s, low 70s as we head into the overnight, early into your Thursday morning. Thursday is going to bring a lot of rain and maybe some stronger thunderstorms to the Tennessee Valley. With that in mind, we are going to be much cooler on Thursday afternoon. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You know, this process is all about talking ball.
Listen to Talking Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond.
What did they want privacy for? To just start talking ball.
Every weekday morning, wake up with Scott and Drew. It's Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Bring it. I did get a request to play the Brian Kelly quote one more time. This is from Johnny, who tweeted at me. All right, Johnny.
You know, we're going to lay a lot, as much as we can. So I would say as much as we can, more so than a lot.
There you go, Johnny. That's just for you. If you can figure out what Brian Kelly's trying to tell all of us.
You know, we're going to lay a lot, as much as we can. So I would say as much as we can, more so than a lot.
So there you go. Just for you, Johnny. 256-576-4977. That's what we try to do here on this very program. We try to give you a lot, well, as much as we can, more than a lot. Did I get it? I think so. Bryce is on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. How are you, Bryce?
Steve, what's up? Have y'all guys ever been to Wisconsin?
I've not been to Wisconsin.
Have you, Wes?
Not to the stadium, but I think I've been there.
Well, I know one thing.
Milwaukee,
the game's at 11 o'clock. Them people up there start drinking about 7, 8 o'clock. It's like a NASCAR race. They love to drink the beer up there, you gentlemen. They love to drink.
And cheese curds.
You know.
Bryce, you've been to an Alabama game, hadn't you?
Yeah, but you don't start drinking that early.
LSU?
Some do.
How about
LSU? 100%. I know in Wisconsin they do not sell beer. I mean, liquor in every store has liquor. In the convenience stores have liquor. The Walmart has liquor.
Yeah.
In Louisiana, so nothing's. I mean, at
drive-through
liquor store at the Marriott Marquis, the LSU fans drank the Marriott Marquis. So how many times have we've been to the Marriott Marquis? I don't know how many times for Alabama games. During the SEC championships, national championship games, whatever. But when LSU stayed there, they ran out of alcohol at the bar at the Marriott Marquis. It's a huge bar too. It's just humongous. So
that don't surprise me. Them Cajuns love to drink.
And my first game in Louisiana.
I've never been to an LSU and Alabama game.
You're kidding me.
That's on my bucket list.
You got to do it.
Yeah,
night game at LSU if you can swing it.
Yeah, you need to rest your liver 6 months before and 6 months after that game too.
That's a lot of truth.
So I remember I got up at 6 o'clock going to get coffee, and the game was at 8 o'clock that night, at 6 in the morning, and it was these Cajuns were filling their cooler up with beer heading to the stadium.
That don't surprise me. Hey, Steve.
Sir.
Now to a serious side, a win.
You broke out. You broke up right there.
Broke out, but out.
Oh, I
What'd you
figured I
say
did.
now?
What did I win?
Oh, what did you win? What did you? Yeah, what is this prize?
Yes.
I did not go through the prize closet today. I didn't.
Oh, Lord.
I tell you what he won. He won $100 gift certificate to
$100.
Yes, yeah. Baumhauer's
that's cool.
Victory
I
Grill.
appreciate that, Wes.
How about that?
There you go. That's what he
Look
won.
at that. Asked and
So where,
answered.
sir?
Yeah.
Baumhauer's
So where?
Victory, where we will be tomorrow. Baumhauer's Victory Grill.
Yeah.
You know,
When can I
Bryce,
pick up
you
my
should
prize
come and have
then?
dinner with
How am I
them.
going to pick it up?
By coming to Baumhauer's tomorrow at 5:00.
You should come and have dinner with them. Sit in on the broadcast.
Yeah, you can pay now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can cover and show your gratitude
I knew that was coming
for
Wes.
them.
How did I know you were going to say that?
Hey, that card
you don't have to-
came out of Wes Neighbors' wallet.
Sure did.
I mean, I watched him pull that.
Wes Neighbors
That is Wes Neighbors
is my kinda
making it
guy.
happen.
I always
So
have
you
been.
should show your
Him and his
gratitude by
brother
showing up.
So you going to come by tomorrow, Bryce?
At 5? I guess I have to. I gotta come over there early, and then I got to come back.
Hey,
I mean,
you've kept us
at least y'all-
well informed that you had won and were looking for your prize.
Oh,
I
there's
think
no
you should
doubt
come and
about
collect.
that. Yeah.
Hey,
So
well,
congratulations on winning.
hey, man, I hate to say it, unless they get better, I don't see 2 or 3
2 or 3 what?
people talking 9, 10 games. What are they getting that at?
What,
Auburn.
I don't know. So let me tell you something. They play like this against New Mexico State and like to beat Alabama the next game.
Yeah.
So, I think they have more talent. I think the players were getting they're not good enough. They're a bunch of young players getting patted on the back, and they didn't play very well.
Yeah.
The quarterback didn't play very well. I think he gets hit too much. I don't think they protect the quarterback enough.
Right? No.
Yeah, but you can't. It's just one game. But if they play like that, the rest of them, you're right. No, they won't
Yeah.
because it's going to be hard to beat anybody the way they play. But I don't think they'll play like that
And-
every game.
What Freeze? He's not going to ever and say, "Hey, it's my fault. I'm the head coach." He's going to always throw it to somebody else. Blame it on somebody else. He's either going to blame one of the players or blame one of the other coaches. He will not man up. You know.
Well, it's hard to argue that this week, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, did y'all hear his press conference?
We've been playing it for the last 2 days, Bryce.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Did y'all see anywhere where he manned up?
Well, I didn't. I think
I'm
it's interesting.
thinking-
And listen, I bet you can find in a loss like that, you can find 15 plays that everybody could have done better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I watched the game.
And the other
I mean,
thing,
Steve
when
thought-
receivers were wide open, I remember what the Pirate said, right? He said, "Oh, that was a good route. Too bad the quarterback didn't know where he was going." And I heard
that before too.
I heard Hugh Freeze saying the last play was not his fault. And so you can see
Hey,
the
Will.
first interception wasn't his fault. I'm talking about the interceptions. Now, there could have been several plays that he could have made. I'm sure there always is. It's a lot different when you're back there holding the ball instead of just watching that tape.
Bryce, appreciate the phone call. We are going to shift to the NFL on the other side. And I'm thinking about asking John McClain a Longhorn question. I know he's not a huge fan of Texas. I wonder if he's willing to give Texas some flowers after what they did in the Big House. We'll find out.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Tired of the same old menu options everywhere you go? Then you need to try Metro Diner in Huntsville and Madison. The award-winning Metro Diner serves up signature dishes like their Charleston shrimp and grits, famous fried chicken and waffles with strawberry butter, and lots more. Their entire menu is available anytime, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And stop by for brunch on Saturday or Sunday and enjoy the lowest price mimosas in town. Airport Road, Huntsville, and Highway 72 in Madison. In diner or at home, make it Metro Diner.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Nick DeLuca. Tuesday night baseball action underway, starting in a crowded NL wildcard race. Mets and Braves separated by a game with the final NL wildcard spot coming into tonight. Mets have won 9 of 10. Braves trying to keep pace in Washington this evening. Ronaldo Lopez getting the start for Atlanta. Mackenzie Gore on the mound for the Nats. Scoreless with a couple of runners on for Washington in the bottom of the first inning. Atlanta minus 145 on the money line on ESPN. That Mets, meanwhile, just about set to get underway in Toronto. In the NFL, Niners over the Jets on the first Monday night of the NFL season. Aaron Rodgers with some bright spots in his return, but the Jets struggling to stay in the game in San Francisco. ESPN's Mike Greenberg losing confidence in the Jets coaching staff.
It's a rhetorical question. If that was a chess match last night, it would have been like me playing against Bobby Fischer. That's how non-competitive it was. The Jets were thoroughly out-schemed last night, thoroughly out-coached, as well as out-fought, outplayed, outmanned. The coaching had a lot to do with it. Do I believe in the coaching staff? No. I believe in Aaron Rodgers.
Greenberg on Pelini. NFL League office says it's reviewing a civil lawsuit filed against Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson, accusing Watson of sexual assault and battery in October of 2020 when he was a member of the Texans. Watson served an 11-game suspension back in 2022 after more than 24 women accused him of sexual misconduct.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Wednesday, I'll tell you the teams who are ready to contend but won't because of their head coach. Looking at you, Jets. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
.97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Welcome to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, 256-576-4977.
That's how I roll. And I'm not going to drink and drive anymore.
That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Wes and Steve.
Hour number 2 here on a Tuesday. Week 1 of the NFL is in the books. Just when you thought you've seen everything, here comes the Tennessee Titans. Losing a 17-point lead, so much so that their head coach, Brian Callahan, says maybe we should have punted on first down. Well, one of those punts was actually blocked, so I don't know how effective that might have been, but that was a really bad throw on the pick six to kind of seal that deal. But rather than me talking some NFL, let's get on an expert. And he is no doubt an expert. And we always enjoy our conversations with John McClain. You can follow him on X at McClain_on_NFL. How are you, John?
Well, I'm great. And I'm writing for HoustonTexans.com, where there's no paywall, having a lot of fun covering the Texans. And there's 2 takeaways from college football this season. Number 1, the Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl. And number 2, the University of Texas is going to win the national championship.
Pretty clear. Yeah, I was.
That should be obvious to everybody. And I love it when their fans get their hopes so high. And then when they don't, they just get crushed.
Well, we'll see how Texas is going to handle the grind of an SEC schedule here. But they did look really impressive in the Big House.
Or Michigan's not very good. That's
true.
Something we have to consider, too. Their
Yes, sir.
quarterback wasn't very good. Longhorns got a great quarterback in Quinn Ewers, going to be a first-round pick. And then they got Arch Manning. I thought that they would pull Ewers in the fourth quarter and Sarkisian would let us see Manning again, because at some point Manning may have to play. Now they're playing University of Texas, San Antonio. They should blow them out, so maybe we'll get to see Arch again, because we all know Arch is going to the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
All right, so you mentioned Cowboys, and we got multiple news Sunday morning, among them Dak getting paid in the morning and then the Cowboys winning in the afternoon. And it was what was your takeaway of what you saw out of the Cowboys' dominating win in Cleveland?
Well, first of all, it was good that Dak Prescott had been there all along, because he was ready to go. You know, he's a great regular season quarterback, so nobody should have been surprised. A lot of people thought the Browns were going to win, and they dominated them. And the happiest person, I think, on Sunday, besides Prescott, was Micah Parsons, because Micah Parsons knows that no matter what they put him through next year, he's going to get paid, just like CeeDee Lamb got paid and Dak Prescott got paid. So he can have some smooth sailing. And I think with Mike Zimmer back as their defensive coordinator, after leaving to become the Vikings head coach and then taking off these last 2 years, they're going to have a great defense. It'll be more aggressive and physical than it was under Dan Quinn, who did a really good job in regular season. I saw a stat this morning, going back to the start of 2022. The 49ers lead the NFL in double-digit victories with 17. Second, with 12, this is regular season, is Dallas. And when you think about Prescott, now well led the league in touchdown passes last year, finished second in MVP voting, you know, they should be good again, barring injuries. In Cleveland, Deshaun Watson is not the same quarterback that he was in 2020, his last season in Houston, when he was fantastic for a bad team. Then he had all those civil suits for close to 25, and his career went down. Then his performance went down with a suspension, no telling how much he had to pay to settle most of those. Now another one is totally different from those, and the accusations. It was nothing about a massage that led to accusations of assault. This was pure sexual assault allegations. So he was terrible. The fans booed him. And I don't know if that game's an indication of how great the Cowboys are going to be and how great that defense is going to be under Zimmer, or if Deshaun Watson is close to being done as a legitimate NFL quarterback.
Wow.
I think it's a little bit of both.
You're right, Wes. I'm sure it is. Cowboys, we're not going to know till they get in the playoffs. You know, them in Philadelphia will represent the NFC East. And all those Cowboy fans, and I've talked to enough of them today that are crowing. And I said, so are you going to be crowing in the playoffs? We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah. You know, I thought last year at the same time the Cowboys were looked great, and I mean slowly they just faded, and they got to where they couldn't stop the run, and everybody just run on them. You know, I don't know. I watched a little bit of the Cleveland game, and Deshaun Watson looked horrible. I mean, he looked like he hadn't. It looked like he hadn't played in 4 years.
I don't know. When I see him, I don't know if he's not working as hard. You know, he had shoulder surgery last year, missed a lot of time. He suspended 11 games the year before. Texans wouldn't play him in 2021 because they knew they were going to trade him, and he had all the legal problems. So he had to work out on his own on the field with one like a GA, I don't know what to call him, and then he would go home. And he was not in the locker room or anything. But he just doesn't look like the same guy. He doesn't play with confidence. There was a video, I didn't see it, but people were talking about on some other shows I did about one of his offensive linemen was down, and he reached down to help him. And the guy kind of slapped his hand away. And people are taking that to mean, well, that guy, you know, he doesn't respect Watson or something. And others said, no, that happens sometimes. Guy just get up on his own. But I sure know how it looks. And if it is an indication of how a lot of those teammates feel about him, that is not good. Right now, they owe him another $92 million, and they have redone his deal a couple times to give him base salary as a signing bonus to lower his cap figure. That just pushes the penalty back. At some point, the Piper's going to have to be paid, and it's going to be brutal if they get rid of it. It's not going to be this year. It might be next year. The reason they didn't bring back Joe Flacco, and they'll never admit this, but everybody knows it, Flacco was so popular in Cleveland and did such a great job last year after coming off his sofa and being one of 5 starting quarterbacks and then leading them to the playoffs where they got pulverized at Houston. But they didn't want from the first game fans to be chanting, "We want Joe," or "Flacco, Flacco." And so they let him go. And I think in retrospect, let Watson deal with something like that. If he plays like that, he's not going to hear it. So you don't know. Next, we're going to hear Winston. We want Winston.
Yeah. Massage for crab legs. So when you is there? So I was reading the article right before the in the break about Deshaun Watson and that new lawsuit. They acted like with that new lawsuit that they can void the last part of his contract.
That's not going to happen. That's speculation in the media that if they want to get out of that contract, they could say violated it. Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, who's Mike's an attorney, does a great job. And he's been writing for the last 2 days about this because he broke the story. And number one, they were saying, well, he is required by the NFL rules to tell them what legal issues he has going on. Well, he'll say that was not a legal issue in 2020 because it's not true. And so he'll just deny, and then it's your word against her word. But anyway, there is a lot of speculation because it looks like it's the worst contract in history, second worst trade. Nothing will ever equal the Cowboys' trade of Herschel Walker to the Vikings and turning all those players. When Jimmy Johnson did that, he could not disclose, according to terms of the contract, that if he cut the players, he got draft choices. And he cut them, and he got number 1 picks, and he used them to win 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. So unless the Texans win 3 Super Bowls in 4 years, which they're not, that's not going to be the greatest trade in history, but it's one of them because they got a lot of players. General manager Nick Caserio got so many picks, including 3 ones, and he manipulated those picks for other picks. And Will Anderson Jr. is one of the players he got out of that. And it's been great for the Texans. It's been horrible for the Browns. And I'm just glad he is their problem and not mine to cover anymore.
Well, so I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. I think it might be the greatest trade in history because of what they traded. I mean, you traded a guy that basically had all those problems. I mean, Herschel Walker at least could play.
Yep, that's a good point, Wes, but I'm just looking at the results. But you're right. If it's based on that, then sure, it was a great trade. I think they got like 7 or 8 players out of it, including guys that are helping them do well now. But man, oh man, I can't imagine when it's a position so important and you were so desperate to get him. Because remember, when he had 4 teams that he had approved, he had no trade clause to be approved to go to. One of them was Carolina, Miami, New Orleans, and I'm sorry, Miami had rejected him because the owner, Stephen Ross, they had a deal ready to go, and he didn't want the deal to go through until all those legal issues were cleared up and it couldn't be done, so they were out. It was Atlanta. It was Atlanta, Carolina, New Orleans, and Cleveland. He ruled out Cleveland first. And then the Browns executives go back to the drawing board and say, we really want this guy. What can we do? Well, what if we offer him a fully guaranteed contract? And his agent, David Mulligetta, who's one of the best in football, got $230 million guaranteed against skill and injury, which was the worst contract maybe in the history of pro sports.
Well, let's move over to the Texans. And I did not watch a whole lot of the game, the win at Indianapolis. What did you see out of Houston in their week 1? A road division win there for Houston.
They've won now their last 3 games at Indy. They have all been monumental to the history of this franchise. 2 years ago, they threw a touchdown on a 4th and 20 from the 28 to win. Then they went for 2 and they completed it and they beat the Colts. And everybody here went ballistic because it cost them the first pick in the draft, and the Bears got it. And they got stuck with C.J. Stroud. Then last year they went there, they beat them by 4 points right at the end that allowed them to win the AFC South in a playoff game. So this year they go up there. They're the only AFC South team to win. And the game was closer than it needed to be. When Joe Mixon had 159 yards on 30 carries, his longest run was 13 yards. They dominated the clock, 40 minutes to 20, had 416 yards, second to the Ravens in opening weekend. And it was 2 points, and it was 2 points because Anthony Richardson, who only completed 9 passes, and I've been seeing all these long passes on TV talking about how great he played. No, he didn't. He had an interception. It could have been a touchdown or a field goal, which would have been the difference in the game. He missed some open receivers, and his receivers, one pass was perfect. 60-yard touchdown to Alec Pierce, 67.1 yards it traveled, and he was off balance. That was, you never see a better deep ball ever. And the other 2 were Texas safeties just couldn't, they didn't do worth a darn. So that kept them in the game. And the Texans had a blocked punt that gave them a short touchdown, but Texans were able to pull it out. Indy's a tough place to play last year. If Indianapolis had beaten the Texans, they would have been in the playoffs and ultimately won the AFC South. So now the Texans get Chicago here Sunday night. Chicago was lucky to win. They were down 17-0 to the Titans at home. Caleb Williams was terrible. He threw for 93 yards. Their offense was awful. They get a special teams touchdown, and then Will Levis threw, I think, made one of the dumbest plays I have seen in my 48 years covering the NFL. And maybe he needs more mayo or less mayo, something, because he went brain dead, tried to throw that 2-handed shot put. He claimed he's trying to throw it in the dirt. Give me a break. And it was intercepted and run back for a touchdown. So NBC's happy. They can say, we got the unbeaten Bears versus the unbeaten Texans. C.J. Stroud and Caleb Williams right here on national TV on Sunday night.
There you go. I did notice Henry To'oTo'o, at least statistically, had a good game, and so did Will Anderson. So it looks like the Bama connection is doing quite well, especially on the defensive side.
Henry To'oTo'o is starting because Christian Harris is out, another Bama ex. Christian really came on near the end of last season in the playoffs. He was great. Now he's out on injured reserve for a minimum of 4 games, got hurt twice in the preseason and training camp. So To'oTo'o has moved into the lineup because, everybody plays nickel. So they play 2 linebackers behind their 4-man front. And the Colts, they put a lot of attention on Will Anderson Jr. and Danielle Hunter, their free agent signing, who had 16.5 sacks last year. But that allowed their new tackles to make the sacks. And so when Harris comes back, Henry will go back to the bench unless they're playing 3 linebackers. But he did real well, led them in tackles.
So when you watch the NFL this week, do you think that to me, they just kind of like, they don't look as sharp as they did back away when, because they haven't been, hardly any of them play in the preseason now. And they don't have they hadn't done a lot of hitting. It just looks like it's sloppy to me.
This is like it's the first preseason game for the starters.
Yes.
And it shows. A lot of teams are running the ball more than throwing it. And as you know, Wes, because you were an offensive lineman, nowhere is experience more important than offensive line, because of the communication, the adjustments, the things you have to do almost through osmosis. And when you can't hit anybody, and it's basically walkthroughs, and even when you put on the pads in training camp, nobody hits somebody to take them to the ground. They go to the ground a lot because they're off balance, or they slip, or they bounce around like pinballs. So that hurts the tackling. And so early on, the tackling's poor and the offense benefits from it. We have a lot of young quarterbacks, not just rookies, but a guy like Will Levis, a second-year guy, playing, and he was awful. So you got bad quarterback play. They're running the ball more, and when you run a lot, the game's going to be closer. I'm looking right here. I see 6, 7, 8 games. Let's see, 9, 10 games opening weekend were one touchdown or less. And that is a lot. That's what we're going to see quite a bit. And some defenses played well, but man, coverage was poor. And we had some awful performances like by Kirk Cousins and the Falcons offense, just pathetic. Carolina, even more pathetic. Giants, pathetic with a capital P. So there's going to be a race for that number one pick. People in New York want Daniel Jones benched. I say play him all season, make him earn that $40 million, because the more he plays, the worse you're going to be, the higher pick you're going to be, and maybe you can get Carson Beck with that pick.
Jets at Titans, I've already circled, and I really don't know what to expect out of this matchup this weekend, John.
Aaron Rodgers wasn't as bad as Kirk Cousins, but it's obvious he doesn't move like he did before his Achilles injury. And the Jets have a good running game. Their defense might be overrated. Robert Saleh, he might be one of those guys that's just a good defensive coordinator and shouldn't be a head coach. And one of the problems the Jets have is they let Aaron Rodgers get everything he wanted. And Nathaniel Hackett, the offensive coordinator, is terrible, but Rodgers wants him on there. And when Hackett is supposed to be calling plays, I wonder if he's like ordering off a menu for the post-game meal, because I wouldn't want him calling the plays. And, Rodgers is going to change anything he wants anyway. It could be Rodgers has called it and Hackett's signing off on it, and that's not good. And so you can't really judge a team unless it's like the Panthers, the Giants, and the Falcons after one game. But, man, the Jets were a huge disappointment. I think they couldn't get much worse. So maybe they'll beat the Titans, and then the Titans, all the fans there, they'll blame it all on Will Levis. And that's another team that next year may go quarterback shopping.
Yeah, the Falcons have the Eagles next Monday night, so I'm sure it's going to get better real quick for the Falcon fans out there. But is there the Bengals at the Chiefs? And I watched a little bit of what it really seemed like New England just didn't make a whole lot of mistakes, and that's what ultimately came away with the W, at least in my opinion.
Well, let me point this out. The Bengals have been terrible in the first two games of the season under Zach Taylor with Joe Burrow as the quarterback. Jamar Chase hadn't caught a pass until that game because he'd been holding in.
Mm-hmm.
T. Higgins couldn't play because he was injured, and Joe Burrow didn't look like Joe Burrow. He completed 21 for 164 yards, 86 rating. And I'm guessing Zach Moss gained 44 yards. They're taking a lot of heat in Cincinnati. Tell us again why you traded Joe Mixon for a seventh-round draft choice, and especially when Mixon is the only running back in the NFL in each of the last 3 seasons has had at least 1,200 yards from scrimmage. That seems hard to believe, but it shows the state of the running backs. So if they lose this next game to start 0-2, it won't be a surprise, because it's almost like you should spot them 2 games and then they're ready to start playing.
We've got a Browns fan who anchors our noon to 2 program, and
condolences.
I keep trying to convince him to be a Buccaneer fan because his former quarterback looked awfully good there at home last weekend.
That makes the Deshaun Watson decision even worse. Baker Mayfield was the best quarterback in the NFL on opening weekend. He is the leading passer right now. I noticed when I was looking at the league stats, he has 146.4 rating, 4 touchdowns. He had no interceptions and threw for 289 yards, and they crushed the Commanders. And I'm guessing a lot of Browns fans wish that they had Baker back. They won the division last year. He signed that 1-year make-it contract, and boy, did he make it. Then he got that monster contract. Mike Evans had 2 touchdown catches. He and Stephon Diggs led the NFL with 2 each. So the Buccaneers fans got to be pumped. In fact, in the NFC South, I was happy for Clint Kubiak, the first-year coordinator for the Saints. And Clint, of course, is one of Gary Kubiak's 3 sons, destined to be a head coach. And Clint went in there, and maybe it's because the Panthers are just going to be god-awful again, the worst team in football, but it was 30-3 at the halftime. Derek Carr had 3 touchdown passes in the first half. He looked great. And boy, Bryce Young, 32.8 rating. They just don't have talent around him, and I feel sorry for him. And but you know they'll finish bad. I hope they still got all their top picks because they're going to need them.
Of all the games that I was able to watch, maybe the most entertaining was the Sunday night game between the Rams and Lions. Really enjoyed watching that game. That ended up in overtime with the Lions winning. It just, I know there's a lot of hype in Detroit. It just feels like a much harder road for them to even get back to a game away from the Super Bowl.
Well, they got lucky when Jordan Love got hurt. That sprained MCL is going to keep him out a while. And boy, if Malik Willis is the starter and Will Levis started over him in Tennessee, it could be bad for the Packers. The Rams lost in the playoffs at Detroit by 1 point in Stafford's return to Motor City. Then they lose this one by 6 in overtime, even though he played really well. The Rams are a legitimate wild card contender. They're not going to beat out the 49ers to win the division. And Detroit could run away with the NFC North, especially if Love, he misses 4 or 5 weeks and they lose those games. And I think it'd be great for the NFL if Detroit got in the Super Bowl. Everybody loves Dan Campbell. He's got that new TV commercial that plays about every 5 minutes, and he's great in it. And he's from a small town in Central Texas, went to Texas A&M. He played 10 years. Who doesn't like Dan Campbell? I would suspect the Packers, Bears, and Vikings fans actually like him, but wouldn't admit it publicly. And I think it'd be great for a storied franchise like that was so bad for so long to go to the Super Bowl. I'm still
high on the Ravens like you are, John. I know it feels, even that Ravens Chiefs games feels like it was 5 years ago at this point, but I really like how that team's put together.
Well, it was the Chiefs. There's no shame in losing to the Chiefs at home. They lost to them last year on the road. They're going to have to beat the Chiefs if they want to go to Super Bowl. I picked the Ravens to win the Super Bowl again, but Lamar Jackson can't run the ball like that all those times. I thought they got behind a little early and they got away from Derrick Henry. I thought they got away from him too early after he had the 5-yard touchdown run to give them a 7-0 lead. He ended up, I think, with like 15 carries. Jackson ran for 122 yards. And I just thought at some point you're going to think Lamar Jackson cannot be doing. I'm saying that since his rookie year, but they don't want him to be the leading rusher. You run for 185 yards and you throw for 273, you ought to win the game. But they didn't because of Patrick Mahomes and because he is one of a kind.
Lamar Jackson, 26 of 41 for 273, carried the ball 16 times for 122 yards. I mean, you're right, John. That is a lot on Lamar right there.
That's like a college quarterback.
Yeah.
And he took some shots too. And I'm thinking he can't keep taking hits like that over the course of 18 weeks and 17 game schedule, not counting playoffs. They've got to get Derrick Henry incorporated more and not get away from him. They've got to stay with him. Now, Lamar Jackson, he had wide open receivers, and he didn't hit them. He didn't make the big plays in the passing game, and that's the knock against him, two-time MVP. He's got to hit the passes to help him win a Super Bowl, and he hasn't been able to do it.
John, always great stuff. Appreciate the insight, sir. And, you're 48 for you, is that right?
Covering NFL, 52nd year as a sports writer in the business, and I'm always happy to go on with you guys. I appreciate you having me. Good luck to Alabama, and hope you guys have a great season in college and the NFL. And let me know whenever I can come back and join you.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, John. Thank you so much.
Take care, Wes.
We will
See
be
ya.
in touch. Let's take our first time out here in hour number 2. We'll roll along here on a Tuesday.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Hey there, everybody. Bob Baumhauer here, letting you know that we understand that times are tough and we truly believe value matters. So, by popular demand, we brought back our Inflation Bites menu featuring scratch-made meals that will make the whole family smile and your wallet, too. Menu items start at just $7.99 and any entree comes with a free beverage. Try our classic tailgate burger for just $8.99 or our hearty Bam Bam chicken platter for $9.99. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
Hi, folks. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, inviting you to come test drive any one of our over 100 F-150s. From rock-solid, dependable work trucks to our state-of-the-art Platinum Series, we've got an F-150 for you. Test drive one today, and you'll understand why the F-150 is the best-selling truck in America, going on 48 years in a row. Just as successful offenses and defenses are built on teamwork, Woody Anderson Ford is powered by our people. Our sales and service teams are well-trained to save you time and money. And because we want your business again and again, no one will work harder to earn it. Our mobile service teams come to your home or business for oil changes, brake work, tire rotations, and more. And the great thing is you don't pay extra for it. We come to you with mobile service at no extra charge. Proud to be local, family-owned, and at your service for over 62 years. Woody Anderson Ford, Alabama's F-150 Superstore.
If hunting and outdoor recreation are your passions, it all starts with the right property. That's where I come in. I am Bo Butler with Southland Realty and Auction, a hunting and recreational land specialist and a Jackson County native who sees land through a hunter's eyes. Just as you trust your guide on a big game hunt, you can trust me to find the perfect property for you. Thinking of selling? Let me help you make your land attract buyers. Remember, Bo knows land. Call me at 256-609-0512.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Hey, Huntsville. Looking for action-packed events? The Huntsville Sports Commission is your hub for all things sports. From youth events to national tournaments, we've got events that thrill and inspire. Whether you're an athlete, a fan, or a volunteer, there's something for everyone. Cheer on your favorite teams, witness amazing talent, and be a part of the excitement. Check out our event calendar and get involved at huntsvillesports.com. That's huntsvillesports.com. Be there, Huntsville.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com.
Got a quick segment here. Had a chance to talk to Aaron Murray, the former Georgia quarterback, earlier today. He did a breakdown of Jalen Milroe and Peyton Thorne that I found fascinating that you can go check out on YouTube. So go check that out. And at the top of the hour, we'll join In Progress Braves and Nationals. Braves taking care of business right now against the Nats. It is 4-0 in favor of the Braves. End of 3 there. Scoreboard watching at the top of the second inning. The Mets lead it at Toronto 1-0 there. Right now, the Braves are 1 game back of the Mets because the Braves could not manage to beat the Reds yesterday in a makeup game. 1-0 was that final score. All right, let's take our final time out. My conversation with the former Georgia quarterback Aaron Murray comes up next.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying, but they can also signal a major problem, or worse, an electrical emergency. So play it safe and leave it to the experts at Mr. Sparky. Trust our team of professional, clean, and friendly electricians. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
Our customers want best-in-class solutions. That's why we've recently added many new vendors like Zebra barcode printers. Our next level team has added premier automation solutions. We're not here to sell you just one product, and we love helping you find the right solution to your specific need. That's what doing the right thing is all about, and that's why our customers have come back for over 50 years.
Flying nonstop from Huntsville is a breeze on Breeze Airways. They're nice people flying nice people to nice places on really nice planes. Let's be direct. Nonstop from Huntsville to the places you want to go. Las Vegas, Orlando, or Tampa starting at $49. It's time for a weekend getaway or a long overdue week away. Time to check in using the convenient Breeze app and check out. What are you waiting for? Book today at flybreeze.com. That's flybreeze.com. Breeze Airways. Seriously nice.
Hi, folks. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, inviting you to come test drive any one of our over 100 F-150s. From rock-solid, dependable work trucks to our state-of-the-art Platinum Series, we've got an F-150 for you. Test drive one today, and you'll understand why the F-150 is the best-selling truck in America, going on 48 years in a row. Just as successful offenses and defenses are built on teamwork, Woody Anderson Ford is powered by our people. Our sales and service teams are well trained to save you time and money. And because we want your business again and again, no one will work harder to earn it. Our mobile service teams come to your home or business for oil changes, brake work, tire rotations, and more. And the great thing is you don't pay extra for it. We come to you with mobile service at no extra charge. Proud to be local, family-owned, and at your service for over 62 years. Woody Anderson Ford, Alabama's F-150 Superstore.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly sunny sky this afternoon really is going to be a beautiful day. Temperatures climbing into the upper 80s and lower 90s, dropping into the mid-60s as we head into the overnight. More cloud cover for your Wednesday, but it does look like we are going to be dry. The cloud cover going to keep us a little cooler. Highs climbing into the mid and upper 80s. We're dropping into the upper 60s, low 70s as we head into the overnight, early into your Thursday morning. Thursday is going to bring a lot of rain and maybe some stronger thunderstorms to the Tennessee Valley. With that in mind, we are going to be much cooler on Thursday afternoon. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Listen to the Woody Anderson Ford Scoreboard Show, powered by Lake Gunnersville Ace Hardware. Each Friday night with Scott Tyson on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
That's a deep cut right there. That's a deep cut. Don't forget, tomorrow we are at Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Here is my conversation with Aaron Murray. I wanted to get into quarterback play. I really enjoyed the videos you put out there, and wanted to start with Jalen Milroe, but obviously want to get to Peyton Thorne. But I wanted to start with Jalen Milroe, and what have you seen out of Jalen so far there in Tuscaloosa, Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, the last game was a little bit hard to tell because I thought the offensive line was pretty poor, to be honest. And I know they're missing a couple guys up front, and just working that chemistry and timing. And Florida State did a lot. I mean, Florida State did some blitzes where you would hope that the offensive line would be able to declare the Micah, or essentially Micah ID it correctly. Mm-hmm. They didn't, so it put him into situations where he just couldn't get comfortable at times. But overall, I like the fact that they're running him a little bit more. It seems like a year ago. He is an incredible athlete. I think they're going to have to continue to do that. I would look for them to do that more and more, especially in big-time games, and say this weekend on the road against Wisconsin. He's just too good of an athlete to just say, hey, we're going to make you a pocket quarterback. Like, I would like to see Jalen Milroe with 10-plus rushing attempts per game, whether that's a mixture of just things aren't there, I'm going to run it, or design quarterback runs, or hey, I'm going to pull it on the zone read. But I mean, his biggest issue, and will continue to be the thing that he needs to work on, is just his footwork, of getting his body working properly, of the sequence of getting my hips and shoulders and feet aligned to where I want to throw the football. And, I showed this on my week 1 breakdown of Jalen, but he's throwing an out route to the right. The ball is kind of just, fluttering in the air. It's a completion because they're playing a lesser team, but he's pointing towards almost the right safety instead of the sideline. Like, little things like that of getting his feet to work in the right direction instead of just being an athlete and just throwing it, of learning how to be a quarterback and throwing the football, and then an athlete after that because of how fast he is. So little things that I'm sure, now that Kalen DeBoer's had a couple of weeks to watch, not just practice tape, but game tape, and seeing how he reacts in a live game situation, you can go back and start to correct these little fundamental things. But, when it comes to just talent of just pure arm strength or speed, he checks off a lot of boxes. And that's why, preseason for me, he was one of my guys on that, my short list for Heisman, because I do think he's talented. I do think he's green. I think Kalen's a very, very good developer of offenses and quarterbacks, and, give him a few more weeks and see what he can look like. I mean, I say a few more weeks, but he's got to be ready in about 2 weeks for Georgia as they get to Tuscaloosa, I believe, week 5.
Yeah. Holding on to the football is being every time that I'm hearing from Bama fans, it's holding on to the ball too much. How real do you think that is for Jalen, of holding on to the ball too long?
See, I know that was a problem last year. Yeah. The sacks, a lot of them, not all of it, but a lot of it was on him, of holding on to it. I haven't noticed too much of that this year so far.
Yeah.
Of him just holding on to it. I think the biggest issue this past game was offensive line. I know people like I think was it Williams, the freshman on the outside.
Yeah.
The receivers look to be better than they were a year ago, but still, I'm not seeing elite play on the outside just yet, too. So, I know everyone wants to focus on the quarterback, and I know we're going to focus on the quarterback when we talk about Payne Thorne here in a little bit too, because as a fan, you're watching the ball. So the quarterback has the ball, so you're watching him. On the TV, they only show you kind of the line of scrimmage, so you're focusing on the quarterback. You're not seeing things develop down the field, which is why I've enjoyed doing these breakdowns, not to defend these quarterbacks by any means, but just show fans the full picture. A lot of it, not all of it, but there's some that's on the quarterback, no doubt, but everyone has to be better. Receivers have to be better for Alabama. The offensive line has to be better for Alabama. And then from there, you get to really see Jalen elevate his game to another level. I mean, he had 4 touchdowns this past game. I don't care if it's against USF, with really bad offensive line play.
Yeah.
He had 4 touchdowns. So imagine what he could do when those guys up front start protecting better, when the receivers get a little bit more separation, what can be done for that offense. So I've not seen the holding of the ball be an issue so far this season for me.
You know what, Aaron, I'm with you, although I'm hearing that I heard more about that complaint after the South Florida game than after the first game against Western Kentucky. But I really thought, I don't know if so 27 pass attempts were against South Florida. There was 9 against the Hilltoppers. And I realize it's 2 different games, but I think the sweet spot's somewhere in the middle. I don't know if I'd want Jalen throwing more than 20 times in a game, me personally.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it goes to the stat I brought up of, can you get him double-digit carries?
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden you have a guy that, if you're running 60 to 70 plays a game, he throws the ball 20 to 25 times. He runs the ball 10 to 15 times. So still 40 plays are run through Jalen. Then the 25 to 30 plays after that are by the running backs. Like I'm with you. Like I don't want, this is not, a Tua offense. This isn't like a Bryce offense where, we need our quarterback throwing the ball 30, 40 times a game. Like utilizes like more, which I feel like they are. And then, pick your spots for him to take some shots on the field. But I think like it's hard to do that as an offense if you can't get the run game going, if you can't protect, and then you're in third and long situations where you're having to force your quarterback to throw the football. So this kind of goes into, you say you want to do one thing. I think they do want to do that game plan, but until you start being better up front and more physical up front, it's kind of hard to get into it.
All right, let's move over to the Plains. I saw this breakdown as well on Peyton Thorne, and I don't know if you heard what Hugh had to say yesterday in his press conference. I wanted to play for you. The question was, what did the tape show? And I'm not going to play the full answer because Hugh's known for his marathon answers. But I at least wanted to play the very first part of it in case you didn't hear it yesterday. This is Hugh Freeze.
Us not executing the offense from the quarterback position, truthfully. We just didn't, I've got a reel of about 15 plays that it's just things we've got to get right. And
so that's how he started the answer, but that felt to me like throwing your quarterback under the bus to me, Aaron.
And I don't like to use the word like necessarily throwing under the bus. Like you have to be honest. Like, and he has to know. Like this isn't, Payne Thorne is not some, first year starter. Hey, we need to protect Payne from the media, and we need to, keep his ears shut. Like you're at a major SEC school, and you're the starting quarterback at Auburn. Like we're not going to play dumb here. Like you need to be playing better, and like there's no, protecting you essentially. Like and like. I don't want Hugh going out there and like dog cussing him to the media and saying that he's crap. But like, I don't see anything wrong with, telling me like, yeah, we have to be better at the quarterback spot. Like we know it, he knows it. And we've shown him, he's seen the plays. He's got to go out there next year. We have and I think it's partly too, like they're probably letting like, listen, we have a higher standard for you. Like we've seen you execute at times. We've seen you last year at times look really good. We've seen you, I'm sure, in spring and fall practice, like execute this offense. Like that is why you're our guy. That is why we didn't go to the portal. We believe you can have success with Hugh Freeze, with the system, and we didn't see that. So I don't think it's necessarily, a full call out. I'm sure he's challenging him.
Yeah.
He's got to play better, man. There's no doubt about it. He's got to go out there and play better.
What is it feels like with the amount of experience that he does have, though, Aaron, that he's making mistakes that is it more common to see these mistakes, do you think, from sophomores and juniors and not someone who's seasoned as much as Peyton is?
Oh, 100%. We shouldn't be seeing those mistakes from him. And at times it's hesitating to throw the football and waiting for a receiver to run open instead of just seeing it and throwing it. Obviously the turnovers, inaccuracy at times. So like at the end of the day too, you just, as an Auburn fan, you just have to be realistic with yourself of who is Payne Thorne? Like, is he a Quinn Ewers? Is he a Carson Beck? Is he a Nico? Is he a Jackson Dart?
Mm-hmm.
Like he's not. And you have to understand that as an Auburn fan, like that is not who you have at quarterback. And you need to, maybe start reevaluating your expectations and understand too, like if the coaching staff believed that there was somewhere better in that quarterback room, they would play them. They're not. Hugh Freeze doesn't want to lose football games. Hugh Freeze doesn't want to sit back and watch bad quarterback play. But until he feels like there's someone that has being Payne Thorne out and taken his job, that is what you're going to keep rolling out with. And I know it's going to be frustrating for Auburn fans. And it looks like it's going to be the same old again this year. And hey, year two, we're expecting big things from Auburn and Hugh Freeze. But as we see across the country, until you have your guy at quarterback, things are going to be rocky. I mean, hell, look at Michigan right now. They lose J.J. McCarthy, They expected their one guy, Orgy, to be the guy. He obviously didn't pan out. And now all of a sudden they're struggling to move the ball through the first 2 weeks of the season, and it looks like they're going to have a down year. So, sometimes you swing and miss at that position, and it just looks like right now they obviously did not get the guy that maybe they're hoping that would take that massive jump into year 2.
Of those 4 picks, how many of those 4 picks you think are strictly on Peyton Thorne?
Oh, man, I have to go back and see each one. I definitely know a couple of them were on him, but just being a little bit inaccurate.
Yeah.
Last one, guys banged up and not really run down the field. Just, unfortunate the way that kind of unfolded. I know one of the seam routes was a little bit too far in front.
I know one of the breakdowns that kind of
I'm trying to go back and think of all the interceptions from the game. Those are 2 that I remember right now.
The reason I bring it up is that one little snippet from your breakdown kind of blew up on Twitter of holding the ball. I know we just got through talking about that with Jalen, but of just not getting the ball out as quickly as you'd like him to.
Yeah, and I think a good comparison is, and this is funny because I'm comparing him to a freshman, is Nico. Like, if you go watch my breakdowns of Nico through the first 2 weeks, Nico's letting that thing rip, man. Like, that first week, I know it's against a lesser opponent, but he's throwing balls early. He's seeing windows. He's letting it rip. Even the interception this past week from Nico, that first one on the dagger route, I'm not even mad about it. Like, he saw a window. He let it rip. He's hoping his receiver gets there. Like, I love a guy, and obviously Nico is incredibly talented. Like, I love a guy going out there trying to push it because, as we've seen from Nico, he, 9 out of 10 times, 8 out of 10 times, he's going to make that throw. And he was just a little bit off on that one, resulted in a pick. But, like, he sees it. He lets it go. There's no hesitation. Ball's out now. You put on Quinn Ewers tape, same thing. You put on Carson tape, same thing. Jackson, like, all these elite quarterbacks, what do they do well? Their feet are very good. Their feet are quiet. And the ball gets out on time, in rhythm, and it's accurate. And it just seems like, you're not getting really much of any of that from Payne right now.
The early returns at the quarterback position, you've mentioned quite a few. We're seeing elite play on the quarterback level in the SEC with Ewers at Texas and Beck at Georgia and Dart at Ole Miss, Nico at Tennessee. How would you stack up at maybe the early returns of who's your 2 deep right now through the first 2 weeks, Aaron?
Oh, man, it is, everyone's talking about like, oh, this isn't going to be a good quarterback year, across the board. I mean, the SEC is loaded at quarterback. It has been fun to watch. I mean, I had Ole Miss this past weekend and seeing, Jackson Dart go out there and execute. Obviously, I've been really high on Carson and Quinn, seeing those 2 guys go. I still think Jalen's going to have a really, really special season once things get clicking there in Tuscaloosa. Garrett Nussmeier has been, as we expected him filling in that role, based on what we've seen in previous years. He looked really good. I'll probably miss a few. Hell, I thought the DJ Lagway guy over the past weekend, I just watched that film this morning. I'm going to do a breakdown and release that this afternoon. I know, they're going to go, Billy's going to go with the other guy there. Mm-hmm. But like DJ, man, was super, super impressive in that game. Making some throws, really opening up the vertical passing game for Florida, which we haven't seen as consistently. So I'm going to be interested to see with Graham Mertz, taking over again. Like, how long is that leash now for Graham this weekend versus A&M? If he's struggling early, do you maybe give the reins back to the freshman?
Well, you've also got Arkansas this weekend, and if I saw that right, and I was really impressed with Taylon Green and his play at Oklahoma State.
Oh my God! The first 2 weeks from Taylon Green, he's another one. I'm sure Auburn fans are saying like, we got to Miami win the portal and got to hit a home run with their quarterback Cam Ward. Yep. Arkansas looked like they went to the portal and got to hit a home run with their quarterback. I'm sure I'm missing a couple other ones across the country too, but it wasn't like this super. What we perceived was this great transfer portal class of quarterbacks, but we're seeing 2 right now. One guy is going to be a Heisman favorite at some point this season, probably is already on the short list for it. Another guy is making plays left and right for Arkansas. So, I'm sure for Auburn fans, they're kind of saying, like, why did we not get one of those guys or, really have a legitimate chance? Because you're in the SEC. You've got the funds. There's no doubt about it. They have the NIL funds. but yeah, man, I've been really, really impressed with that young guy over there at Arkansas. And, excited to cover him this weekend live.
Ole Miss, as good as advertised, better than advertised. How would you categorize what you saw with Ole Miss? Although they have, this is probably their first big time competition at Wake Forest, even though they're coming off of an L at home to Virginia.
Yeah, I would say just as good as advertised. Maybe better. Like for me, the skill has always been there. Jackson Dart, I thought, was great last year. It was just, as Lane's told the media before, it's a line of scrimmage. I mean, is what hurt them against Alabamas and the Georgias of the world. You have to be bigger and physical up front. And, looking at the offensive line, they look better. The defensive line, obviously, is significantly better with the guys that they got up front there. So, they look and now feel more like an SEC team instead of just almost like a Big 12 team that just throws the football all around. And then on top of that, you have Jackson, who's going to play at a high level this year, is going to be one of the top quarterbacks in the country. You probably have the best tandem of receivers in the country with Trey and then Juice Wells making plays as well. You have two really, really talented tight ends led by Prescorn. So, and I thought the running backs looked really, really good as well too. So it's a complete football team. There's not a lot of, gaps or issues when you watch Ole Miss or look at Ole Miss and the roster and what they're going to be able to accomplish this year. So I said it to start the broadcast during the game, but we've all pegged Ole Miss as Ole Miss is a playoff team. Ole Miss is a playoff team. No, Tennessee and Ole Miss are SEC championship caliber football teams. Those rosters are good enough to beat Texas, to beat Alabama, to beat Georgia. There's no doubt about it. And Ole Miss gets Georgia at home. Tennessee obviously has to go to Georgia. They get to host Alabama. Those teams right now are built and can handle those guys. I mean, this league is wide open. There are 5 teams that can win the SEC, and I would not be surprised. Georgia, Texas, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama. And I know people say, well, what about Missouri? What about Missouri? I think Missouri's, I don't know if they're just there quite yet. I know they've given Georgia issues the past 2 years. I'd kind of have them just on the outside of that list. Still a playoff caliber team, no doubt about it, especially with their schedule. But I really, really like those other 5 as true contenders to win the SEC.
I wanted to close with Georgia traveling to Kentucky, and certainly thinking about your time there between the hedges and this matchup, and especially considering how bad Kentucky looked against South Carolina. To me, feels like a little bit of a trap, if you will, for Georgia because of all the pieces are fit together.
Huntsville,
for this, for me to say crap.
97.7 ESPN.
Yeah, and also
The Zone.
there's a hurricane coming now. It's supposed to be, it's supposed to be rainy and pretty nasty. I believe this weekend as well. So that those are the type of games where if you're outmatched, then you start looking okay, maybe we have a chance. Maybe we can create a couple sloppy plays or turnovers and, make this a closer ball game. But I think Kentucky has just too many issues on offense. I mean, way too many issues on offense. I mean, you saw a little bit of in the first game. I know they scored 31 points, but you saw some inaccuracies in the quarterback. And then last week, South Carolina, which has a great defensive line, I had them in week 1. Their ability to dominate on the road, the lack of consistent quarterback play, that is not going to get better in a week. And then obviously it's only going to get worse because of weather themselves too. So it's hard for me to see and say that South Carolina is going to put any points on the board. I think the only way they can make it happen is, like I said, things get sloppy. Georgia turns it over. They get a short field. They score. But I think Georgia's too focused. Kentucky's still a pretty darn good brand when it comes to football in this conference. I think they go in there and regardless of the weather, kind of blow them out early.
Well, what's your best memory of playing Kentucky at Georgia?
Going 4-0, always beating them.
I mean, I didn't want to punt to the obvious, but I thought maybe specific play again. Anyway, that's why I wanted to go there.
Yeah, all of them were pretty good. Besides the last one when I tore my ACL, but other than that, we're good.
Well, sorry I went there, but it's nonetheless, it's great talking football after all the off the field stuff that we all went through this past off season.
Amen to that. So look forward to another good week of college football.
Absolutely. When's the next episode of Snaps going to drop?
Every day, 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 o'clock Central, and then we'll do one weekend episode. And then, my goal is to get about 10 quarterback shows out per week. So we're pumping out a lot of content over here at Snaps.
Well, appreciate the time and safe travels to you, sir.
Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. Your home of the Crimson Tide Sports Network.
Me personally, 404-523-8100.
So if you just